This afternoon, I have the extreme pleasure of presenting someone to the New England Racing Hall of Fame who grew up not far from here in Suffield. As a young man who toiled many hours on a family farm, Bob Bahre would hitch a ride on Saturday nights to Riverside Park in Agawam, Massachusetts, just north of his hometown, to enjoy the racing, no doubt igniting a spark in him that burned brightly for many years. I'm certain that Bob is no stranger to us and certainly needs no introduction to our New England racing fraternity. He is an amazing combination of a business entrepreneur, a race promoter, and a philanthropist. His accomplishments are numerous, from land development to banking to promoting one of the most successful short tracks in North America from 1964 to 1986, the Oxford Plains Speedway in Western Maine. His Oxford 250s enjoyed standing room only crowds. No stranger to the sport, Bob and his late brother, Richard, fielded the Bahre Offie with the Northeastern Midget Association through the 60s and into the early 70s with much success. After selling that venue, Bob began to fulfill his dream of having a super speedway right here in New England. A few years later, he acquired the aging Bahre Motorsports Park in Loudon, New Hampshire, and began the long and costly effort to build a 1 1/6 mile speedway on the property. The result was the New Hampshire International Speedway, opening in 1990. Bob put his brand on this new venue right on the map, bringing Major League Racing to New England in the form of NASCAR Sprint Cup, IndyCar races, and other major events. Finally, last year, Bob, at the age of 80, decided to sell his track to Speedway Motorsports, Inc., a public company owning several tracks throughout the country. And how many of you are aware of Bob's Bahre's generosity? Over the years, he has donated to a multitude of organizations, including the local 4-H club in the Norway South Paris area, and to various charities and churches in Loudon, New Hampshire. Even now, he exhibits to the public his private rare classic car collection every July to benefit the Paris, Maine Free Library. And so it is with a great deal of pleasure that I introduce you to a man of many talents, Mr. Bob Bahre.
This isn't going to take very long because I can't stay in crowds, especially we're sitting in my grandstand, so. But I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank my wife, Sandy, who's here, and especially my brother, Dick, who we lost a few months ago, and my son, Gary, who owned half of the Speedway with me over there. But the reason, years ago, when we had the farm up here in Suffield, right where the airport is today, before the airport was even there, I picked tobacco there for 25 cents an hour, and I thought I was doing pretty good. But everything worked out, and we went along and got everything done, and it worked out good. But the reason we are where we are today is because of a lot of people right in this room today. We got Dave Dion, we got George Summers, we got all the drivers, and the press was always good to us, because without that, we just have nothing. So I got to, speaking of George Summers, I want to tell you something. Years ago, this was a hell of a try, I don't know if George remembers it or not, but he won a race up in Oxford, and he was down there in the starting line and he was all excited, and the place was packed because we used to do good there, and he said, he says, it must be everybody from New York must be here today. And the announcer said to him, what the hell's the matter with you? You're not in New York, you're in Maine. So I don't know if you remember that, George, or not. Anyway. But again, I just don't want to take a lot of time. I just want to thank everybody. We really, really appreciate what you did for us, and we'll never forget you. And anything we ever do, we'd be happy to. Thanks again.